this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
First started in 2011, Philly Tech Week is an annual week-long celebration of technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation in the Philadelphia region. This year is the 10th annual Philly Tech Week presented by Comcast, now fully reimagined as a week of virtual events. From professional development seminars to highly engaging interactive virtual parties, you'll get connected with the ideas, tools, people, and processes that are building a better future for all communities. Virtual events run from September 21st to the 25th. Learn more and build your calendar at phillytechweek.com.
Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to a brisk Saturday afternoon in Philadelphia. This is the Chris Murray Report on WURD. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, I'm in the mood to talk. And today I've decided I'm devoting this day to my loyal listeners. And I want to say this as a way, I guess it's fan appreciation. I'm just making this up, of course, but the thing is that I enjoy listening to you talk, and a lot of times you all have called in faithfully, even though sometimes I've had to wait and delay talking to people. So I want you guys to call in today, and I'll give you the number in a minute, to vent your spleen, vent your view on any issue in sports, whether it's social justice in sports, whether it's Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, what the Sixers are going to do, and anything you want to talk about in sports. Social justice, do you believe that the NFL's gesture of playing Lift Every Voice and Sing, is that enough? Colin Kaepernick is still not playing. Or better yet, college football. They're still playing college football even in the midst of a global pandemic. And the Big Ten this week decided they were going to play football. Meanwhile, locally, man, your Philadelphia Eagles, Lord have mercy. I gotta say, I was on the phone last week with my good friend Kelsey Nelson out of the D.C. area, who, by the way, has a new show down in that area. I was with her last week, and I predicted the score of last week's game. I said that the Eagles were going to win the game 27-17. Well, I got the score right, and that's about all I got right because the Washington football, Jordan, you saw the game.
I did. It was atrocious.
It was it started off beautifully, 17-0. I'm sitting, and matter of fact, I'm in the because I had to pick up some items, for the game. I was gonna go to the supermarket, so I got my little iPhone watching the game on my phone. It's turkey shoot. All I gotta do is just write up a little, a little thing. Hey, the Eagles look good here, this, that, and the other. But of course, as the game went on, the Washington football team. Notice I have not said the R word yet, and I'm not going. Right. Hopefully I do. But Washington, basically, even in the midst of the Eagles taking that big lead, 17-0, it was like watching a good counterpuncher. It was like watching a good fighter. Going to the body. And what the Washington football team did. I want y'all to take a drink every time I say that R word. But everybody to take a drink. But the thing is, Washington kept gut punching them on the offensive line because the Eagles had two guys on the offensive line with no football, no NFL experience, and they got exposed. But it wasn't just the young players. Let me say that. Jason Peters got beat, 38-year-old on the left side. Ryan Kerrigan, Chase Young, the whole, that guy Montez Sweat, they all came at the Eagles the whole game. And it didn't help that the Eagles passed the ball 42 times. 42 times. I know this is a passing lead. It is almost, let me take this off. It's almost a cliche. It's almost a cliche to say that this is a passing league, right?
Yeah.
But you still got to run the ball to the point to where you have some balance. You still have to run the football. And they did not do that. Yeah, they didn't do it at all. They were very predictable. And, you get to a point, I hear some of the guys at NovaCare. I'm a part of that press corps and all that. And I'm not gonna sit up here and give you NFL coaching jargon. Well, there are a lot of A-gap blitzes, although they were coming up the middle. When we say A-gap blitz, they're coming right up the gut of your defense, of your offensive line. But the thing is, maybe the Eagles aren't as good as they think they are. I mean, is that the case, ladies and gentlemen? The calling numbers 215-634-8065. 215-634-8065. Tell me what you think. And a couple of things in the NFL this weekend. There's a couple of things that Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson are the man. They're the man. I'm sorry. I mean, those guys are just those guys can play. Those guys last week. I mean, Russell Wilson was 31 of 35, 322 yards, 3 touchdowns. Almost was it 4 touchdowns?
Dangerous.
And then Patrick Mahomes threw 3 touchdown passes last week. And around the league, man, I mean, there's some Cam Newton. I'm gonna have to bring in. I should have thought to bring in my friend Shalise Manson Young up with Yahoo Sports, because she kept saying that hey, Cam was going to do well up there, and Cam had played an efficient football game and won them the game, and his teammates love him up there. That's what they're saying. So that's one thing. So the Eagles. But right now, all you Eagles fans out there, and I know y'all out there somewhere. I mean, and they play the Rams tomorrow, who beat Dallas over the weekend. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of Philadelphia fans are going to hate me for saying this, but the Cowboys got robbed in that game. They got robbed. They got robbed because there were 2 guys legitimately hand fighting. You could have called it either way, but they called the Cowboys, and a lot of people, I know Joe from Germantown is loving I'm saying this because he's a Cowboy fan.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember him saying he was a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. So, from that perspective, but they did, I mean, however you feel about the Cowboys, that was a bad call. And you don't make that call. I mean, it wasn't that Michael Gallo, just pushed off him. I mean, they were both. It looked like what's his name? It looks like the guy from L.A. Was holding him down.
Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Ramsey was holding his hand. It looked like it was like they both got tangled up. But Ramsey's a veteran. Vandy said, he pushed off. Ref saw it. He sold the call. Ref saw it, and That's how it was. That said, though, the Cowboys still had other means to beat the Rams.
They did.
Like, for example, when it's early in the fourth quarter, you get stalled, and you're down by 3, kick the field goal. Don't go for it. And speaking of that, the Eagles did that twice last week and got burned. Carson Wentz threw a couple of interceptions. And the thing about it wasn't that Washington's offense scared anybody. They didn't.
No.
But when you give any team, and I still hear the words of Jim Mora in my head. I don't care if you're a high school team. When you turn the ball over, that team is going to score. Okay, you're giving the offense a short field. But as Jalen Mills said after the game, he basically said, "Look, we're in the defense. We got to put the fire out. And when you put the fire out, you have to stop. You still have to stop the other team." So it was a bad performance all around for the Eagles last week. Horrible, horrific performance.
At least second half.
The second half, from the late in the first half on, and the second half, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And so they got to play the Rams in an empty stadium. Oh man, how do you feel about that? So numbers to call in 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. Looking for your comments today on anything. Today is your day, people. I know you're out there mowing the lawn, trying to enjoy some of this beautiful sun and all this other stuff. I dig it, but if you got your radio, you got one of these devices here, come on, call in. I want to see. I'm giving everybody the floor today. I'm giving y'all the floor, and I'm giving you guys the floor to basically get you to talk about what's going on in the sports world. Now, a couple of other things. From a social justice perspective, the NCAA, the Big Ten Conference, has decided that they're going to play football, even as a lot of universities are struggling with the COVID-19 virus. And a lot of teams are basically still, and I'm not talking about the players, but a lot of schools are dealing with the virus on campus. Kids are not going to come to school, and I can't blame them. And I can't blame them for that because, that virus is something else, and we don't know what the long-term effects are. As a matter of fact, some of the Ohio State players, from what I've read, maybe, could get some type of condition from that, from that particular situation. So, I don't think football, I'm really, as much as I can enthusiastically talk about the Eagles, and we still don't know what the NFL is. We still don't know if the NFL is going to get through this season. They have a very rigorous testing program, okay? But I'm concerned for the college kids because I think that, there was such a rush to get these guys back on the field. Maybe that's one of those things led by Donald Trump. It was such a rush to get these guys back on campus to play. And these guys don't get paid. And of course, they're doing this for the satisfaction of the billionaires who are the millionaires, boosters and all this other stuff who want to see football. Never mind the kids could get hurt, and there's no concern about the college kids and all that. But the thing is, they're going to be getting rigorous testing, maybe the kind of testing that kids who live on campus aren't going to get. And they're going to take care of those people. And so I wonder, I wonder about that. I want to know what everybody thinks about that. Would you let your kid play in a situation where COVID-19 is going on? Will you let them play? Are you concerned about your kids' your kids' health in that situation? I wonder. I wonder about that. So, we'll see. Fishman from U City, what's happening?
Hey, good morning, brother.
Good morning. How are you? How are you enjoying this day?
Jimmy Butler.
Oh,
Jimmy Bucket.
Yes.
I was about, that was going to be the next thing that I was going to get on. Because
let's keep it 100. Jimmy Butler. Guess what? We lost one, and we had one, and we got to get rid of about two other ones.
Yeah, I suppose you're right about that.
Both of them got to go. Both of them.
You don't like. I mean, to tell you the truth, you got to keep those. I mean, as much as petulant as those guys are, maybe they grow up. Maybe they watch Jimmy. Maybe if Jimmy Butler.
I mean, they just need a coach that'll keep them accountable.
Yeah, I agree, Jordan. I agree.
Well, remember in the last postseason when Philadelphia lost to the Toronto Raptors, Joel Embiid dropped his lap in a white woman's breast, and guess what? That's the black man's kryptonite.
Okay, well,
do you remember what I'm talking about?
I didn't see that. I know.
He left the court when that basket dropped in by Kawhi Leonard, and he walked down the hallway, and he fell his lap into a white woman's breast. I said, come on.
Well, I mean, hold up. I mean, I understand. I understand where you might be coming from on that. But, you know, people like who they like. I mean, I'm not going to get into the politics.
I know. You can be politically correct.
No.
Let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
What did you think of last week?
What I think of last week, they sucked. They were awful, especially on offense.
What for one half or for the whole game?
Well, for about in the second half. Yeah. In the second half, but you know, you could see even when they were up 17-0, the Washington already had 3 sacks. They already had 3 sacks. Matter of fact, they may have gotten 3 sacks on one drive, and that was the Eagles' scoring drive. But I had to use a boxing analogy. You know, you keep punching. You know, it's like Joe Frazier and Ali. Although in terms of the fight, you know, when you keep gut punching a guy, you know, sometimes them arms are going to fall down. And that's what Washington. Good Lord, the Redskins.
All right, give me your prediction for tomorrow, and I want to wish everybody a great day. Give me a prediction for tomorrow.
My prediction for tomorrow is that they got to play Aaron Donald this week.
Yeah.
And I think the Rams are going. I think the Rams are going to win tomorrow. I think the Rams are going to win something like 24-14 or 24-21. And I think that the Rams. I mean, because Aaron Donald basically kept the Cowboys, off balance. And I'm going to say this about the Rams defense last week. The Rams, every time the Cowboys tried to make a play, like there was one third down conversion where I think the pass was thrown to CeeDee Lamb, and I think it was Jalen Ramsey or somebody from the Rams just knocked them 1 yard short. I mean, they were tackling that team on defense. They talk about Jared Goff and the offense, but that team defensively, those guys are going to hit you. Those guys are going to hit you hard. And looking at that game against Dallas, I was watching that game closely. Looking at that game, Eagles got to figure out a way. I mean, Dallas ran the ball on them. You know, that came, you know, but they've got to somehow get the running game going because now they got Lane Johnson back and they got Miles Sanders back. And they got Miles Sanders back, and I think that's going to make a difference. Although Boston Scott still had about 35 yards rushing, but it was like about maybe 7 carries, but he didn't do it enough. And that's the thing. Right. That's an Andy Reid. That's an Andy Reid thing. That's a holdover from old Andy Reid. You know, Andy Reid now runs the ball because I'm gonna tell you, one up and coming rookies in this league is this kid Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's running back with the Kansas City Chiefs. That kid, I saw that kid at LSU. That kid can play.
Yeah.
But coming back to the Eagles, Miles Sanders is supposed to be the bell cow running back. He can, you know, Deuce Staley was raving about him during the training camp season, it wasn't a preseason, but during training camp, he was basically, you know, raving about Miles Sanders, and he was saying that Miles Sanders is, you know, was going to be the every down back. And my question to you fans out there is that are the Eagles a legit Super Bowl contender? And if they are, because they got guys like I said, Jason Peters is aging. They're the front, they're right side of the line. Now that Lane Johnson's back, how is this kid? Nate Herbig is going to start. He, had an average performance, but the thing is, the Eagles' line is in jeopardy, or was having issues because they had a poor performance. Now, granted, and they're going to be playing a team that's even tougher than Washington, so it's going to be interesting. And then they got to stop. Their defense has to stop the Rams' offense, which I think they can. They're capable of doing it. They're capable of it. I mean, they can, they got guys that can guard their receivers, and I think that it's going to be an interesting matchup this weekend. I think that the Eagles, they can win. I don't know if they will if they don't protect the quarterback. And
then they're that predictable on offense too.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And when you come that predictable on offense, and when you come that predictable, then it's a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, they got Lane Johnson back, they got Miles Sanders back, so that might balance them out. And then on the offense, they got to stop Woods and that kid Cooper Kupp, their slot receiver, who's pretty good, will get you first down. So it's going to be interesting to see how much they bounce back. Well, we've got to go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat and the NBA playoffs. When we come back, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Support independent Black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875.
Or visit wordradio.com.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Word Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation
as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with Word. Happy living.
Stay well with Word. Connect with us at wordradio.com. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Okay, we are back. I want to talk a little bit about the Sixers and their head coaching search. There's rumors, there's been talk around town since Mike D'Antoni left the Houston Rockets that he would be coming up here to Philadelphia. And I don't know how y'all feel about that. I think he'll get the Sixers together offensively, but will he hold people like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid accountable? Yeah. And will they get other players around them that could actually, play? Right now, the Sixers are at that level, and I hate to say this, the Sixers right now at best are a 7th or 8th seed, or even a 6th or 5th seed. In other words, I will not confuse the Philadelphia 76ers for being a contender. They're not. And they're not a contender at this point. And as far as I'm concerned, they really need to get a good coach and some players. Some good players. I don't know if they'll do that via free agency or via the draft. I can't even say what's happening in terms of the draft and who's out there because of the end of the college season. And so we'll have to see who's going to be there to maybe be that third scorer. It definitely wasn't Tobias Harris. He somehow pulled a disappearing act, and so we'll see. But what do you guys see for the future of the Sixers? I mean, what type of coach would you want to be? Do you want a guy like Tyronn Lue, who has a winning pedigree, or at least has one championship under his belt, assistant coach under Glenn Doc Rivers right now? What is it going to take for this Sixers team to win anything? I mean, what kind of coach would you like ideally for your Philadelphia 76ers? What type of coach? Who could come in here and maybe convince Ben Simmons that he ought to add a jump shot? Or if he's not going to, figure out a way to best make him play even without the jump shot. Sometimes that's a part of coaching too, playing to a guy's strengths and weaknesses. So we don't know what the future is going to hold here. All I do know is that the Sixers need players. They need some more players. And really, to be honest, people like Joel Embiid got to step up. I know that's the old cliche, step up, but they have to step up. What are we doing? They have to play. I don't want to see Joel Embiid crying, we did not play well. And I'm like, nah, man, you got yourself to play. Get in shape. Get in shape during this off season. Put stuff down. Put the hamburger down. Put down the hamburger. And
Don't be having Chick-fil-A all the time.
Yeah, don't be having Chick-fil-A all the time. Fast food. If you have to, hire a nutritionist. You're making money. Hire a nutritionist. Okay. I have a nutritionist. I don't follow as much as I like to, but the thing is, get yourself in shape. Become better. Be a better player, and that is the issue. That's the thing. And by the way, coming up at the 12:30 hour, we're gonna bring in John Mitchell, formerly of the Tribune, formerly of the Inquirer, talk a little bit about all these things we're talking about now. 215-634-8065, 1-866-361-0900. A lot of issues to talk about today. What do you think of the Big Ten possibly coming back and playing college football? What do you think of college football coming back, playing under this pandemic? Are you concerned that the season will not end? Season's going to end prematurely. It very well could. NFL, the same thing. So you got a bunch of college kids, and no one seems to care about the health and well-being of the players, except to the degree that they will get on the field and play this week. It's quite simple. It's quite simple. You don't have to play in all this. You don't have to play, but there we are. But here we are. We're playing. And I'm still wondering, how much of all the mask wearing will help us. I'm glad to see that the players are social distancing, doing all the requisite right things. But I have to wonder at the end of the day, I just have to wonder if it's going to be safe, if these seasons will be safe. Will at the end of the year we get all these cases of coronavirus? We are heading into the winter season where this virus, along with the flu, and I hope you got your flu shots, when that the flus are going to come out and all this other stuff, and you may be mixing with people in the hospital. You really have to take care of yourself and your families. And so I'm wondering how all this is going to shake itself out. I really am. I wonder, because from that standpoint, you really have to be safe. I don't mind them playing football as long as you make it extremely safe for the players and everyone involved. Okay? You have to make sure that we can play. Because if you don't, you're going to have this. I don't trust this virus. I don't trust the long-term effects of this virus. Even if you get over it, you can still get it again. There's no vaccine along the way. And don't believe, and like I say again, I hope they have a vaccine, and I hope that they will get it out to people quickly, which is not going to happen. And then too, you're going to have, even if they come out with a vaccine, you're going to have 10,000 people with conspiracy theorists saying, well, man, you shouldn't trust the vaccine and all that. I'm like, oh, okay. Because we've not trusted science. So I hope that the Big Ten, Christine Brennan of USA Today basically said it was a dark day for college. It was one of the darkest hours for college football because no one's ensuring whether or not the kids on campus are going to be safe. And you're not going to play in the stadiums or anything, but still, kids and college will gather together. I think University of Illinois has one of the highest coronavirus outbreaks in the nation amongst college students, from what I understand. So it's one of those things where I look at it like, you can't, are you going to let these guys play under those circumstances? And I don't think you should. If I had to wear a mask, or since we have a barrier between me and my producer, if I have to, wear a mask, then I'll wear a mask so that you don't get it and I don't get it, okay? But they politicize that to a big time now. But like I say again, last week Naomi Osaka won the U.S. Open Women's Tennis Championship. Proud of her in the sense that she wore face masks with Breonna Taylor and all the people who died from police brutality, okay, and police shootings. She brought their names up, and it was a very good thing for her. It was a very good gesture on her part because she's still on that line of fighting for justice. I still remember a bygone era in which you didn't say anything if you were an athlete. If you want to keep the endorsement money, you didn't get that endorsement money. So what I'm telling you right now is that I'm skeptical of this whole thing with college football. I'm worried that some kids may get sick, and it's not right. That kids have to kind of pay that price, and not just the football team, but the people who some of the support staff. The people who are on campus. And I'm hoping if you have a son and daughter to make sure they're wearing their mask, make sure they're properly socially distanced. Seeing if we had done this earlier in the game, we might not be having this conversation. I'd be talking to you more about the Eagles. I'm still going to talk about the Eagles and the 76ers. What do you think? What do you think about what direction should the Sixers go? In terms of coaches, should they go more disciplined? Should they go more somebody who understands how winning goes in the playoffs? Basketball is that predictable. So you would hope that these guys would make the right decision when it comes to playing this game. So I'm just at a point. I'm just at a point, though, where I'm enjoying sports. And speaking of sports, Lakers Nuggets series took off last night, and And I think the Lakers won last night, right?
Yep, they did.
Yeah, Lakers won that game. I didn't see the game.
Landslide.
Yeah, the Lakers look like a team on a mission so far. They look like a team that wants to win that elusive chance, and for LeBron to do it again. And supposedly LeBron reacted to the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo got the MVP award. Well, Giannis Antetokounmpo is vastly becoming Peyton Manning in the sense that he has. He is a great, regular season guy, but in the postseason, his teams around him come up short. So, you really have to wonder about that with the league. But that said, going into the Eastern Conference right now, Jimmy Buckets is dominating the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Lord have mercy, he is a beast. He is a beast. He is a beast in the sense that he is the type of player that you need in a playoff situation. You need a guy who's going to be a killer. You need a guy who's going to be. You're going to need a guy who's going to be a killer in this game. You're going to need a guy that in the playoffs, and this is what people have been begging for from both Simmons and Embiid. They want a guy who is going to be a killer, who is going to, when your team is up, if your team is up 2, he's going to hit that 3 to make it 5. When your team is down 3, he's going to be that guy who either hits a 3-pointer or takes it to the bucket and he gets a 3-point bucket the old-fashioned way. We have Mike from Wynwood. Mike, what's happening?
Hi, I'm not sure who the Sixers should hire for a coach, but they should fire Elton Brand.
They should fire the GM.
You had the man on your team. You let him go? You should lose your job for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, why couldn't they? You make an interesting point. Why couldn't they have kept Jimmy? Jimmy Butler last year. Come again?
You could have offered him the back steal.
Right. You could have offered him that deal, but because Brett Brown didn't necessarily want to get along with Jimmy Butler. I mean, remember
that was a big thing.
In that game 7 against Toronto, the Sixers with about 5 or 6 minutes left, looked like they were just going to lose straight out. Butler brought them back. He brought them back, man. Brought them back, and what happened? And what did these guys do? And if it wasn't the fact that Kawhi Leonard hits a shot at the buzzer, if they go into overtime, I think I like to say Philadelphia wins that. But you would do but with an ellipsis, but they didn't. So. Well, what are your thoughts on it? So you say it's time to fire Elton Brand?
Yeah, you make a complete change.
A complete change. Do you get rid of some of the
manager hire the new coach?
Right, but let me ask you this question: do you think that they need the Sixers need some key personnel? Need to add some people? Do you believe that?
I'm sure they do, but I'm not the guy to pick and choose who they are. If I could figure out the pro game, I did it. I just watch it.
Oh, you just watch. Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. We're all guessing and speculating, but you're right. And like I said, thank you for the call. But what the thing is just that the Sixers need somebody. First, the Sixers do need more players, either via the draft, either through free agency. And we'll see who's available. But the thing is that you need a guy with that kind of instinct. And basically, Brand is not looking too good for every game that Jimmy Butler keeps playing. For every game that he keeps playing, people are looking more and more at their general manager. People looking more and more, well, what can you do? What kind of guys can you bring in? in order to win, in order for this team to move forward, because this team needs somebody. This team needs someone to basically lead this team. And I still remember the damning comment that Butler said on J.J. Redick's, Zoom, not Zoom meeting, but on podcast. And he basically said they were wondering who's in charge. And that's the problem. Somebody needs to command that presence in the locker room, and needs to get these guys to understand, what you have to do to win. And so, again, 215-634-8065. Today I'm allowing you guys to vent your spleen on a number of sports-related issues, or if you want to, just basically. So I'm not, unless there's a political angle to sports, which I think there always is, I want to deal with it from that standpoint today as well. So tell me, I'm looking for people to call. Let me see. We got BG from Germantown.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Chris?
I'm doing okay, BG. What's happening?
Man, has there ever been a choke job like the Clippers after all the hype? And, so many experts picked them to win the championship.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
No doubt.
It up bad, man.
Where was the Kawhi Leonard from last year that beat the Sixers, beat the Bucks, beat everybody? Where was that guy? I didn't see that guy. I watched that game, and neither him nor Paul George play like superstars that they are. And I'm not saying
Paul George, I think he's overrated. I think, he's got a history. He needs to change his nickname, talking about he's playoff P, because he's come short a lot. But Kawhi is different from when you become the 100 to the 100. And this year, Jamal Murray, man, I didn't know he could play like that. He lit them up.
Oh, yeah. Jamal Murray, the other guy, Djokovic.
Jokic, yeah.
Jokic lit them up, man.
But I think Jokic is going to have problems with the Lakers because, L.A., they had Montel Harrell on him. With the Lakers, they got big, like Anthony Davis can check him. Then they got Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. So I don't think he's going to get off on the Lakers like he did again.
No, is he still with us?
Oh, I think he cut off.
Yeah, cut off. Well, he's right. I think the Lakers are a better team. The Lakers are a better team. The Lakers...
They're more athletic.
I mean, they're a lot more athletic than me. And, of course, LeBron James has a knack to make everybody look good.
Yeah.
He has this knack to make sure that everyone looks good. And the problem for the Denver Nuggets, we call them the Mavericks, the problem with them might be just youth and inexperience. It might be just youth and inexperience against this Lakers team. That's, LeBron doesn't have to put up points because he has Anthony Davis to do that. But LeBron affects so many things in the game, and he will hit those shots. Now, LeBron's going to score. He's going to get his.
He does. He's kind of overrated to me.
What?
It's a lot of hype. He got an MVP award, but they say Ben Simmons can't shoot. He can't shoot, but he continues to shoot. I don't like Russell Westbrook's game.
Right. I don't like
I don't like his game. It's not an intelligent game. It's all based on athleticism. A lot of people think highly of Michael Jordan and Kobe. They talk about how great he is, but Kevin Durant made the right move by leaving Russell Westbrook. He should have went to Golden State, but he could have went to San Antonio somewhere. But he made the right move because I don't think Russell Westbrook is ever going to win a championship the way he plays. Or James Harden. They monopolize the ball too much.
Mm-hmm.
But Westbrook can't shoot. Harden at least can shoot. Westbrook, he fires up threes and he just be bricking it up.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. And I watched. The thing is, and somehow even with Chris Paul, although they talked about a couple of years ago had Chris Paul not gotten hurt, I still say they do need a point guard, a real quarterback, a real quarterback point guard. If I can use a football analogy. They need that guy you still need a good point guard to control that offense. Okay.
Well, I think the problem is Westbrook and Harden are the same guy. It's kind of like when Isaiah Thomas, when he was GMing with the Knicks and he had Steve Francis and Stephon Marbury on the same team. I knew it wasn't going to gel because they're the same guy. Westbrook and Harden don't play well off the ball. They both have to have the ball in their hands. So, that wasn't good chemistry right there.
No, it was not. And yeah, that's true. You do have
every
two
year
guys.
LeBron makes the MVP. They picked Derrick Rose that year, and he knocked them out. They picked KD MVP, and he beat him in the finals 4-1. They give Giannis the MVP now, and he's already out. It seems like LeBron he gets off on in the playoffs, and it makes whoever they pick for MVP really look bad.
Oh, no doubt about it. And LeBron is playing with a chip on his shoulder.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
justifiably so.
Oh yeah,
He's playing with a chip on his shoulder because simply because they gave. Giannis. I think Giannis getting the MVP is motivating him, and if LeBron James is motivated, it's a problem. He is dangerous.
Yeah,
he's one of the most dangerous players in the NBA, and if he's on that kind of mission, I would have liked to have seen the Clippers in that series, but the Clippers just did not have, I don't know, it was chemistry or heart or whatever. But, they just did not have it. And I think do you think maybe they were looking ahead?
No doubt. Well, you know what, though? The one thing about a 7-game series, it shows who the best team is. See, in the NCAA, if they had beat the Clippers, you could say it was a fluke one game. But when they beat you 4 out of the 7, it was no fluke. And the Clippers had huge leads every time, like 16 and 19-point leads. They blew. They just outplayed them. Jamal Murray, they didn't really have an answer for him or Djokovic. They just didn't have anybody connect. Even Kawhi, when he put them on him, they couldn't deal with him.
Well, thank you for the call, BG. I gotta go.
Always great talking to you. Have a good day.
Thank you. We gotta go to break. You listen to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WRD, Black Talk Me, the Chris Murray Report. Will be right back.
He knew. Donald Trump knew how deadly COVID was months ago, and he lied about it. Just listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob, which is today and yesterday some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people, to plenty of young people.
Donald Trump knew as early as February just how deadly COVID was, before anyone even died, and he did nothing about it. His indifference cost tens of thousands of black lives.
It goes through air, Bob. You just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus.
Nearly 200,000 dead. 1 in 5 are black. This virus is literally killing us, and Trump did nothing to stop it.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you, I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
Too late, Mr. President.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
PHL, this is Councilwoman Sherelle Parker. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census. It brings us funding for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses $21,000 in funds. We can't let that happen. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to www.2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay. Get counted, Philly.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton, keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM.
WURDradio.com.
sugar and spice. I feel nice like sugar and spice.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we're back. Of course, you're listening to the sounds of James Brown, the inventor of the funk. All right, so, NBA playoffs. We were talking about the NBA playoffs, and the Final Four is exciting. Right now, Miami and Jimmy Butler, they're just a little bit better than the Boston Celtics. And there are really two players that, if you're calling for the firing of Elton Brand, and I'm not calling for it, but if you are, I would say that some of the argument that you may have is the fact that, and I don't think Brand was there for the drafting of, or was he, of Jason Tatum, because Jason Tatum, I mean, the Celtics fed the Sixers a bill of goods. Like I say again, you know, don't do any deals with Danny Ainge. But the thing is that you see two guys that could have possibly helped the Philadelphia 76ers, and they are not here, and they are not there. And as far as I'm concerned, the way I see it, that's your argument. There's your argument. And so what do you think about that? I mean, they need players like that. Joel Embiid. A lot of people have called for them trading Embiid and Simmons. I don't know about that, but a lot of people are calling. We have Richard from North Philadelphia.
Hey there, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you, man?
Yeah, good. These NBA playoffs have been something. Now, the Clippers, with Kawhi Leonard and them got knocked out by the Denver Nuggets. I would have thought about that, you know? You know, and now with Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs this year, it looks like the Lakers, you know, the word right now, are the team right now in the West. You know? Now, the Celtics, well, they played tonight Game 3. Now, if the Celtics don't win tonight, well, I don't know. That's like when they had the Sixers down 2 games. They could be, you know, in trouble themselves. So what about the Celtics now? They got their backs against the wall, too, now. Yeah.
I think the Celtics, that's different. See, when the Celtics had the Sixers down 2-0, the Celtics were clearly dominating them.
Yeah.
In this situation, these games could have gone either way. I mean, they could have gone either way. I mean, Kemba Walker hasn't stepped up for them. Like I say, Jason Tatum's played okay, hasn't stepped up. Jaylen Brown, they need other players to step up for them, but they really got to stop that force. Now, maybe Jimmy Butler is just on a serious run right now. Maybe Butler is just on, maybe he is feeling it. Maybe he is, you know, sometimes there are players who catch lightning in a bottle, and he's on that run like Kawhi was last year. And that's going to be interesting to see how this thing shapes up. I think Boston wins today because I think that somehow they got enough pride in them, and I think Boston's a well-coached team. Boston is a well-coached team, but, you know, like I say, the guy who's been transcending all of them has been Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. Well, that's one more thing. You know that the Sixers have said that they are looking for a new site or looking for a new arena now.
Yeah.
And I was reading a paper last week on Wednesday. They got some locations. One here up in North Philly, on the North Station District, where between Glenwood Avenue and Indiana Avenue, where the train station is at.
Yeah.
You know the word? Yeah. And they got some other locations, too, like around 30th and Market Street and Hanneman Campus, you know, and like that. So it's going to be interesting, you know, the words where they would build a stadium. Because they come up here in North Philly at 29, that might scare some people away. You know, people might not want to come up there, you know.
Yeah, that is that part of North Philly. But then again, what will the residents say? See, I don't like when they build these stadiums. You know, Temple has had an issue with building a stadium in North Philly. I mean, don't displace the residents. I mean, a lot of times we gentrify these communities to the point to where we make them unaffordable for people to live in these communities. And then, you know, you wonder why people are up in arms about things. And so I don't think they should put a stadium or an arena at the expense of the people who live in those communities, unless there's a real situation where you're going to at least provide jobs for those people in that community. So, that's the issue right now with that. Now, going back, but they're also talking about Camden the Sixers playing in Camden. I mean, they want to do all this expansion, and you haven't won anything yet. You've not won anything, and like I said, the Sixers need those types of players. You're mirroring. They're putting up a mirror in the face between Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler. They're putting up a big giant mirror to these guys in these guys' faces because these were guys that you could have potentially gotten for this team. That you could have, if you could have kept Jimmy Butler, if you had drafted, how would the fate of the Sixers change if they had gotten Jimmy Butler? I mean, if they had gotten Jason Tatum. So, you're listening. We got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WURD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Justice, equality, accountability. These are the values we need in our leaders to bring us together and be the America we know we can be. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are those leaders. Joe Biden has the experience to fix our broken economy. He's done it before and he'll do it again. And our own Kamala Harris is ready to lead. As senator, she championed education, health care, and criminal justice reform. And with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in charge, we know the White House will be accountable to our community. For 4 years, our country has been run by inexperience and corruption, but we have the chance to turn it around with values rooted in our common goals and the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Unite the Country. www.blackpac.com and www.unitethecountry.com, which are responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Want the latest in Word swag?
Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk Media.
Word Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. Are you a Philly voter trying to figure out the best way to get information on how to vote? Start at votespa.com for more information on such important activities as registration, applying for mail-in and absentee ballots, dates and deadlines, and locations open for voting. Also, more information, including phone numbers to the city election commissioners, is at philadelphiavotes.com. Keep following us on @onWURD on Twitter, facebook.com/4word, and hashtag Word on Politics for constant updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed.
And vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com.
Tune in this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. for the Islam Today show with a perspective on moral guidance and Islamic principles and values.
This is Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back. Okay, so we got a couple calls online. We got Fishman from University City again. Fishman, what's happening?
Hey, brother. Last week I seen you on television. My family showed me that, and then this week my brother called BG. Do you know what BG stand for?
What does BG stand for?
I ain't gonna tell you. He has to call me. I want to give my number openly: 215-490-7772.
Okay.
Hey, BG, 215-490-7772. You're doing a great job, brother.
Okay, thank you. All right, Calvin from Delaware.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, man?
Good. You know, you're talking about the Sixers and Jimmy Butler. I don't think he wanted to stay here because
No, he didn't want to stay here.
No, he, so like, the offer with Miami probably would want to play for Pat Riley. So even like if they offer this guy a whole ton of money, he wouldn't stay there anyway.
Right. Yeah, but that was because of the coaching situation. I mean,
right.
Brett Brown looked like at times a deer in the headlights, and and I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, let him work, let him coach it out, and he didn't do that. He didn't do it. And
but
go ahead.
You were talking about the college football players. I mean, I don't see how the NFL players are playing. I mean, like, because, it's a contact sport. I mean, those guys out there on like every play, I mean, somebody may be bleeding or something, they probably got to go through a whole lot of, I'm sure they got to have to do a whole lot of testing.
Mm-hmm,
and then another thing is, why is it that some stadiums, they have people in the stadiums, and other stadiums, there's no people in the stadiums? I mean, I don't understand that.
Well, here's the thing. Different cities have different things. In Philadelphia, we're at a point where I think the cases of coronavirus has been growing a little bit. And so basically the mayor has basically said that we're not going to have those types of gatherings. They want to reduce the risk. Do I blame him? No, I do not. I'd rather see. I will be at the game tomorrow. It's going to be bizarre. It's going to be bizarre to be at an empty stadium, and especially that stadium. And somebody, I think it was some guy from Fox 29, tweeted something that I found very disturbing. He said something along the lines of, well, apparently people are upset that they can't tailgate, right?
Right.
They can't tailgate. And so this person on Fox 29 came back and said, well, how come they're letting, a lot of the homeless people set up tents, which I thought was which I thought was an ignorant thing to say. Because, come on. I mean, I love my sports, okay? I'm here because I love my sports, and people have decided to give me a forum to express my love for sports. But when it comes down to human issues like homelessness and trying to find people a place to stay, whether or not you have your superficial, tailgate party, your cookout and all that, pales in the comparison that we have some real issues in this society. And, and sometimes I find Americans to be monumental idiots when it comes to that.
If you look at the demographics, I mean, these football stadiums, I mean, the majority of those people, they're Republicans anyway.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those folks are Trump supporters.
Right.
I mean, so they've been having all these events with these super spreaders. I mean, you got these groups out here now. They're having these events where people are just going in the stores, no mask on, and they're doing it on purpose.
Right.
Anti-mask groups. So, I just think come November with this election, I just think it's going to be a whole lot of things going on in terms of, because we're seeing it now out in the streets with all this stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
So I think whoever wins, people are going to be out in the street.
Right.
So I just think all of this stuff is all related. But again, if you look at the demographics of NFL football players, or rather fans, majority of those people are Republicans, and a lot of them support Trump.
Mm-hmm. I would venture to say you're right. I mean, that's why Trump has been pushing and been nudging the Big Ten, to play football. And as far as I'm concerned, don't be putting people's kids in danger like that. And if you're gonna play, I don't mind them playing, but you gotta keep everybody safe too. Because if there are breakouts of COVID-19, and they're saying, and like we're up to 200,000 people have died, are going to die from this pandemic, from this virus. And as much as I love football, as much as I love sports, no one's thinking about that. I could care less, to be honest about it. I'm still following because that's my job. I'm a journalist, and that's what I do. But there's a huge part of me that's really not liking any of this because of this virus. We don't know what type of danger. We don't know the after effects after you come down with the virus, and then you cure from it. How will it affect you long term? We don't know that.
Right.
But then again, we don't believe in science. Like I say, America is in a very idiotic place right now. It just is. And
I just wanted to say, the world is watching the United States. They're looking at us.
Right.
They're looking at us to see what we're going to do in November.
Yeah.
So the world is looking at us to see what we're going to do in November. Because if he gets back in there, they're going to, people are going to be saying, well, this is what y'all wanted because y'all put him back in there.
Yep.
But they're watching what we do.
Right.
So it's going to be, interesting going on the line. Thanks for giving me the time.
No problem. Okay. We got Joe from Germantown. Brother Joe, how I was expecting you today. I was expecting you today, man, because that was not offensive pass interference on that play. Wasn't.
Which one? Which one?
And the Cowboys game on Sunday. You saw
that when they against Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
When they put the boy from Jacksonville, that was a terrible call, man. That was a terrible. Anybody else, that was just a bad call, man. I mean, they hurt us and stuff. But like I said, I'm not just going. But I put more to blame on Mike McCarthy because he still should have kicked the field goal when he had a chance.
Absolutely.
The game, kicked the field goal, tie the game up, and we wouldn't even in that position. The game would have at the very least went to overtime if we just wanted to kick the field goal. So I mean, it was a bad call, but Mike McCarthy should have kicked the field goal when we had a chance.
Okay.
You got to open up that offense, the kind of weapons you got. Throw the ball down. I thought Jason Garrett was still coaching the Cowboys, man. That's the conservatism. You got Michael Gallup, you got C.C. Lamb, you got my other man on the other side. Throw what's the from Oakland? What's his name?
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper, yeah. I mean, you got the Titan, the right boy, the Titan can get down. So throw the ball downfield. I don't know why Mike McCarthy was playing it so close to the best. Throw the damn ball downfield, man. Open up that offense, and you make Ezekiel even more effective than anything. You got to open up that offense. You got all these weapons on your team, and you playing like conservative. I think it's something like watching Jason Garrett out there, man.
Yeah, it did it looked that way for Cowboys fans. I was just sitting there like, of course, Stephen A. got on TV. I had to laugh at Stephen A. But the thing is though, and then of course nobody in the NFC East really played well except for the Washington team that beat the Eagles. Everybody else in the division lost the game. The Cowboys lost, the Giants lost, and the Eagles lost.
Yeah, Washington's in first place after 1 week and stuff.
Right.
Go figure, right?
Right, yeah, that's
Here's
true.
the thing, though, even without defense, I'm saying, Mike Miller's our defensive coordinator, but again, I thought I was watching Rod Marinelli out there. I'm like saying, dude, making the defense for some nastiness and see where the racism coming at. You got two guys. I talked to my girl that works for the Cowboys and stuff. She works at the Cowboys, nice white lady. We talk all the time. And
right.
She agreed. I said, the Cowboys need to sign Earl Thomas and Eric Reed, formerly the Carolina Panthers. Them two guys can show up the Cowboys secondary. But see, because of racism, because Eric Reed is not the bow down type Negro. I don't know if Jerry Jones would take it, even he would help this team he would help the Cowboys immediately because he got this reputation as a stand up black man. Jerry Jones probably won't touch him. He can help the Cowboys right away. Stay with Earl Thomas. He had a little incident in Baltimore. But hey, it's over with. Sign a man, sign Earl Thomas and Eric Reed, and they make the Cowboys secondary one of the best in football right now. But the Bennetts make they racist and stupid. They probably won't, and the Cowboys secondary be getting torched all year again. But let me say this real quick before I talk about the social matters on the Lakers game last night. I will say this because I'm a Lakers fan. I will say this: if LeBron and them get Denver down 3-0 or 3-1, they're not coming back on us. I'm gonna tell you right now. We don't play that. LeBron won't
we don't play that. Well,
they never did that against Utah and Clippers. But I'm telling you, if we get them down 3-0 or 3-1, Charles Barkley do that little thing where they had the guys going fishing with their fishing gear on. They will be going fishing. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me say this real quick on the social issue with the death of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Ginsburg, right?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, yes, God rest her soul.
Awesome blessing God to me. I'll be pleased with her and her paradise and look after her family during this difficult time. The brother that called before me, he echoed many of my sentiments. I'm not a hateful, racist person, but we got to be honest, like the brother said before me. Many of these football fans are white Republicans, and some of them have money, some don't. But let's say the ones that's middle class or up the rich, they show a gross insensitivity value. And that's why I say, you, as a black person, or even as a working class white person, and this is what white people, this is what the fellow was hitting on, how the world going to be looking at. They said, you put that idiot Bush back in there for a second time that he started a war, and you're going to put this idiot back in there again after what he did. The world is watching to see what move America makes. Because like I said, Chris, as a working class black man like you and me, and probably the brother called prior to me, and working class white people, Latinos, how anybody, and I'll close with this, brother Chris, how anyone could vote for these racist Republicans. And again, I'm no supporter because the Democrat Party got a whole lot to answer for. So I'm not a big cheerleading for them. I'm talking about history. A friend of mine told me sent me information years ago. The white Republicans going back when President Roosevelt was in office. It's important for the audience to know this, Chris. They was against any kind of social program. When Roosevelt initiated Social Security, they fought against that. White Republicans back in the 30s. They thought it was some kind of communist plot. Socialism take over America. They anti-union, and though I can understand some of these white unions support them, I expect maybe for the police union, of course, because I expect them to be so racist. But I'm saying, but any other working class unions that will support these white Republicans, they anti-union, they anti-Social Security, anti-Medicare. Chris, if they could take your Medicare from you right now, they would do it. They would take people's health care, Obamacare, they would do it. How any sensible third person could vote for somebody that's trying to take money out of your pocket, trying to take your benefits. They don't even want you to have a 401k or pension on your job. I mean, how anybody, if they got a brain, a working brain, could vote for these people. They are evil and mean-spirited, man. I mean, I'm just telling you the lowdown, Chris. It is what it is. How you can vote for these people, it just boggles my mind, man. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Joe, and as always, thank you for the call. I agree with him on that level. I mean, you people vote against their interests, and this is why this corona, I got to bring it back to the sports world. This is why, we've not dealt with it yet, and this is why sports leagues, I think the NBA smartly dealt with it and tried to make it, at least make it safe. But they also took the public into consideration and played in the bubble because no one wants the spread of that disease. And, I don't get it half the time, man. And we want to play sports. If they make it safe, okay, make it safe. Make it safe. But don't try to act like the problem doesn't exist. Make it safe. Protect people and their families. 215-634-8065. 1-866-361-0900. If you want to join me to talk anything about sports today is my Callers Appreciation Day. I just made it up as I go along, but I want y'all to kind of call in, see, I just vent your spiel on anything. Now, tomorrow, one thing I might start doing, I think next week, I'm going to, since I got Jordan here, since I got young Jordan Booth, what we're going to do, I'm not going to do it this week because I don't have my schedule, although I could put up a schedule. We might pick some games. We should get into a friendly conversation, friendly competition. He might beat me one week, I beat him next week or something like that. We're going to pick some games, man. We're going to pick.
Sounds good to me.
It's fun. I like to pick. Since they're playing in a global pandemic, and personally, I do not condone them playing in the midst of a global pandemic, but it is what it is, and since they're playing, I don't mind playing, having the, so I'll do that next week. Well, I could do that this week. Let me think about it. So I'm just saying that I'm quite, just to make this a little bit interesting, and like I say again, your Eagles are playing this week. Will they win? As anybody, I want to hear from Eagles fans. Are you ticked off about last week's loss? Are you really pissed off about how they lost that game? How they let the Washington team just dominate them? I would be as Eagles fan. I'm upset at what I saw. I wouldn't like what I saw last week. I don't like it because the way they gave up points is that I know it's early in the season, and to be honest, we didn't have a preseason. Not everybody's tight. Not everybody's ready to roll. Not everybody is Not everybody is ready to go this week, and so we want to see. I want to see how you feel now that they are playing. Now they are playing. You know, what do you think? What are the Eagles' weaknesses this year? Can they win? They got a couple of hot receivers. Okay. Will they bounce back? Will they bounce back this week? Will they come back from losing that game last week? And they probably should have lost it. In other words, they gave away that game. They gave away that particular game. So we'll see. What should the Sixers do about a head coach? Okay, what should Philadelphia do about the Sixers do about a head coach? The Phillies. I haven't mentioned the Phillies. The Phillies won both games of a doubleheader last night. They won both games of a doubleheader, and so now they're the 7th seed and would open the playoffs against the number 2 seed, the Chicago Cubs, if the playoffs open today. Problem with the Phillies is that they have a bullpen that can't stop anybody. I mean, they were up in the Mets game. The Mets game against the Toronto Blue Jays. They were up for a little bit. And the bullpen allowed the Jays to come back in it. But then the Phillies came back and won the game. And so, from that standpoint, the Phillies, we wonder if they're ever going to shore up their middle relief and their late relief. They give up. They have a bullpen. As a matter of fact, they have the worst bullpen ERA. I think it's like a 7.23. I want to say they have the worst bullpen ERA in the history of baseball, the second worst in the history of baseball. And I think it was another Phillies team that was even worse than that. So the Phillies, yikes! They can hit though. They're in every game. You got great hitters. Bryce Harper went 3 for 3 in that second game. I mean, he can hit. So we'll see. We have Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia. Maurice, how are you?
I am Chris Murray. I'm not too much into baseball because I don't believe we have enough black baseball stars.
Yeah, they're out there, though.
They're out there, but not like it used to be, man. Okay. Every team had 2 or 3 guys, black guys on their team that whether they hit or were out in the outfield that were great, and I don't see that anymore.
Right.
But this is what I wanted to say.
Tell me what you want to say
about this sports thing. See, this is what makes me mad about all these people that love the NFL so much that they don't see what's going on. Remember when the Kansas City game, the opening game, when the people booed them? It wasn't even because they took a knee, just because they held each other's arms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how racist can you be? I mean, come on. And the players, I'm upset with them.
Mm-hmm.
If your top players are taking a knee, the rookies ain't got to worry about it.
Right.
Because the rookies, they worried about, they're more scared than anybody losing their job. But if your stars have enough gumption to really, you can't win nothing without sacrifice.
Right.
You can't do nothing else. Just imagine if black people decided not to shop in Center City for a month.
Right.
They would come to us and ask us. They have city officials coming to us asking us what we want.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
Just decide that, you know what, instead of going to I'm going to King of Prussia to get my stuff this month. I'm going outside, on outside city limits.
Mm-hmm.
We have power of our money.
Right.
We have power, but nobody wants to make the sacrifice.
I would agree.
When I worked up at Graterford, and they told the guards there, we went to the Million Man March, we would be fired.
Wow.
Guess what happened?
What happened?
Not only did we all go, we took 30 white guards with us.
Wow.
They knew right then and there we had power.
Mm-hmm. And
because
sometimes people have to
run the place without us.
Right. And that's what the players should probably do in these situations. The NBA proved that you could do that. And even though it didn't last, but somebody, I think, and what I'm hoping that happens with this election, and maybe it won't, that if Biden wins, that somehow especially in sports, that they get to a point to where the owners, will realize that the players that their players help to make them rich. And to be honest about it, I hope Americans would realize is that the workers, we made it so that GM and Chrysler can be billionaires and then ship their jobs overseas and all that.
Hey, Chris, let me tell you the biggest secret that is right in front of us that nobody seems to know.
Okay.
It shouldn't matter if a Democrat or a Republican's in office. We should be all right.
Right.
See, that's the thing. We cater to one side that makes us promises and never does them, and then the other side just tells us we ain't gonna do it for you. But the deal is to be in the middle with our money and say, hey, if you want us, you got to give us something. You want our money, you got to do something for us. And we're not thinking like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we start doing that, everything will be all right. But we're not willing to sacrifice a little bit like our ancestors did when they didn't get on the buses and when they were walking to work and they were doing these things when they had less privileges than what we got now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing all the crying because all we want to do is talk with no action.
And party.
That's right. We don't want to talk. I mean, all we want to do is talk. Nobody wants to do anything, nothing that really means. We can march in the streets all day long, but if you're marching in the streets and you don't get nothing out of it, you just ran down some sneaker soles. That's all you did.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. But as far as sports right now, they don't need to be playing no sports. I love football. But right now, until they get it the way they want it, why are they even playing?
I would agree with that. Maurice, I got to go to break, but as always, thanks for the call, man. It's always good talking to you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, brother. I guess he's not there, but in any event, we got a break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media. Boy.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience. I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point. From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Be heard. Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let Word Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Okay, we are back. Numbers are calling 215-634-8065. 1-866-361-0900. We're gonna have John Mitchell on the line with us in a few seconds. Before we bring in John Mitchell, I pulled up the schedule for the you notice how I got all fancy. The schedule for this week's games, and so if I can find a little scroll. For some reason, the scroll thing on the computer sometimes doesn't work. But this week, okay, so the Bengals already beat the Browns. Okay, so I want you, Jordan, can you write this down? I want you to, I want to see, write you down, and then on one side of it, put one situation for me, one situation for you, who you pick. Okay, so I'm gonna write these games down. So we got Bears at home against the Giants. Who do you like?
Me, I got the Bears.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears. We'll go with the Bears on that. Who else? We have Rams. We have Rams and Eagles. Who you got in that game? You're come on, choose. Come on, go with the home team.
Hey man, I mean we're undefeated against the Rams, so.
Okay. So Jordan,
I might consider that, but it's like at the same time after last week, I don't know.
Man, I don't know.
Tougher defense.
Much tougher defense, but they are, well, not the home field advantage means anything now.
No.
Okay, so I'll be the I was gonna pick the Rams, but if you pick the Rams, I'll go with the Eagles. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So so he has the Rams. I'll go with the Eagles and all that. Okay. Who else do we have here on our board? We have those hated Dallas Cowboys. We got Cowboys. We have Cowboys and Falcons. The Cowboys are at home playing the Atlanta Falcons, and so who do we? Like I said, who do we like? Who do you like in that one?
That's tough.
Who do you like?
Dang, I don't know. I really don't know.
You really don't know.
That's
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay, come on, man. Be like every other person. Take a guess. Take a guess. Come on.
I'm going with, I hate to say it, Dallas.
Okay, he got Dallas. I'll pick Dallas to win that one, too. Okay, the Jaguars. The Jaguars at the Titans. I'm going with Tennessee. Tennessee's better than Jaguars.
Yeah, I got Tennessee, too. I'm going with Tennessee.
Okay, Panthers. The Panthers who lost the heartbreaker to the
Raiders.
to the Vegas Raiders. I say that I'm gonna have a hard time trying to get used to that. The Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay at home because I think Tom Brady, after having a bad day, will win that one. Okay. Yeah. And let me and when we come back from the next break, I will go. Let's go with okay. We got Rams, Eagles, Broncos, and Steelers.
Steelers.
Okay. Broncos and Steelers. Jets and 49ers.
I got the 49ers winning.
Okay, I'll go with the 49ers. Bills and Dolphins. Bills.
Yep.
Vikings, Colts.
Vikings.
Okay.
Vikings.
Oh, wait a minute. These are all the games. Okay. And so, Vikings, Colts, Green Bay, and the Lions. I'm going with Green Bay. The Lions are awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Lions are very,
they blew a lead against the Bears last week, so.
Okay. So we said Bears and Washington. Well, they captured lightning in the bottle this week and beat Kyler Murray and them down in Arizona. I
got Zona.
No. I venture to say no in that situation.
I got the Cards.
Kansas City and Los Angeles Chargers. I almost said San Diego. It's still San Diego to me. Chiefs and Chargers. Who you got?
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah. Too good on offense, honestly.
Ravens and Texans. Baltimore and Texans. I'm biased. I'll go with Baltimore. And although I think the Texans might bounce back at home, so
you'll go. I'm going to Texas.
Okay, Patriots, Cam, the game of the week on Sunday Night Football, Patriots and Seahawks. Who you got?
Seahawks.
Seahawks, okay. I'm going to go with Seattle in that game, too. And finally, on Monday Night Football, Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Saints and Las Vegas Raiders. I can't say that, man. Las Vegas Raiders.
You know what? I have a friend out in Northern California who's a Raiders fan, so I'm going to go with the Saints.
You're going with the Saints, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so coming on with us, sorry for the delay, is John Mitchell, longtime sports writer, columnist, Philadelphia Inquirer, Philadelphia Tribune, and Washington Times, and everything else in the world. Man about town. God can speak on a variety of subjects. And so I want to start our conversation, John, let's talk Eagles for a second. Man, what did you? That was the definition of a bad loss last week.
Yeah, it was as bad as it gets, Chris. Man, you have a team that won 3 games the previous season, a team that doesn't even have a name yet, and you take a 17-0 lead and you're cruising, and all of a sudden you collapse into a pile of festering garbage, which is what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, the collapse was across the board. The play calling was bad. They didn't run the ball.
Right.
They didn't put the quarterback in good situations to make plays, and more importantly, the quarterback, who's the 4th highest paid quarterback in the league this year, made horrific decisions that looked straight out of his rookie season. More than anything, I think Carson Wentz cost the Eagles that game. That's an awful loss, because if you are a playoff team, and we don't know that they are, that's the kind of loss at the end of the season when you're looking for tiebreakers. Just like, you lost to the Redskins and you blew a 17-0 lead.
Yeah. Or the Washington team. I know everybody's going to get
the Washington team.
Yes, I feel like this song by America. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. That's who beat the Eagles. The team who's in the desert. They're a horse with no name. They lost to a team that has no name. But you saw some good players. You saw Chase Young might be the real deal.
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, Chase Young was going against an aging veteran.
Right.
An aged veteran, because Chase Peters is 38 years old right now.
Which is 100 years old in football dog years.
Right. But Exactly. But I've been saying, with all those high picks that the Redskins have from Alabama, with Chase Young, who they're saying is the best defensive end to come out of Ohio State ever.
Right.
You look at the Bosa boys, how well they've played in the last 2 years, and, the older Bosa in the last few years. The Redskins, Washington football team, may have it's just muscle memory. The Washington Redskins, the Washington football team may have something going in the future, man.
Yeah.
The Eagles were horrific, though. They played what was a telltale sign, Chris, was they gave up 3 sacks in the first quarter.
Yeah, they gave up on their first drive. I think it was the second drive when they scored one of their touchdowns or got a field goal. They gave up by 3 sacks. I mean, it reminded me early in the Ali Frazier one fight where Ali was just jabbing at Frazier's face, but Frazier kept boring in. And that's what happened. And then next thing you know, Ali's kissing the canvas in the 15th round, kind of like the Eagles did on Sunday.
That's a good analogy.
I mean, a lot of times when you and that's when they truly say that both boxing and football are decided in the trenches, the body shots. Okay, the body shots that were taken in that game by the Eagles offense. And now they had two inexperienced linemen. Lane Johnson is back this week. How do you see the Eagles coming back this week? And Miles Sanders is back. Do they run the ball a little bit more with Miles Sanders?
Well, I really hope so. They because you look at last week's game, and they could have put that game away by running the ball, but they didn't.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting they were playing Washington because Washington cut a player, Adrian Peterson, that could have helped them, easily stopped that game away. Adrian Peterson went to Detroit and rushed for 93 yards on like 14 carries at 35 years of age.
Right, right.
And the Eagles had no one they could give it. They couldn't. Boston Scott became somewhat of a folk hero last season because of that.
Coming off the practice squad.
Yeah, and they won games against horrible teams to win a division, the Dallas Cowboys included.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to run the football tomorrow because they're going to again be faced with the almost impossible task of blocking. What's the two-time defensive player of the year?
They're talking about Aaron Donald.
Yeah, it's almost going to be virtually impossible for them to run the schemes they want to run against him because he's just going to wreck whatever's on the inside of that line. He's going to wreck it. So they need to dictate with short passes, and they need to use his strength against him. They need to use leverage. They're going to have to play smart. They can beat this team. They absolutely can beat this team.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got to, at some point, you've got to turn to the quarterback you're paying $30-some-odd million a year and say, okay, it's time for you to make plays, man.
Right.
You got Deshaun Jackson. You got Rieger. You got arguably the best tight end combination in the league. We've given you a lot. It's a cover. You don't have your full complement.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for you, Carson Wentz, to start winning some football games.
Yeah, I mean, he played well at the end of last season, but then again, it was
against. But that was against a public league level group of competitors. Let's be honest.
You said, did you just say public league level? Come on, man.
Public league. Washington, the Giants, Dallas. People keep hearkening back to that.
Yeah.
But that's just intellectually dishonest. To look at it and say he played well. Who did he play against?
Right. He didn't really. And the thing about it, he didn't really play it well against. I mean, nobody in the NFC East last year really played well against anybody outside the division, and they really didn't. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that I don't know. I think I hate this. This is not a must-win game. It's early in the season, and that's the caveat that I carry. That this was really like a preseason game. It was almost a preseason game.
Chris, a lot of people like to say it's not a must-win game, but you know what? This is really, this is a preseason game in terms of guys getting contact, guys getting used to playing. But I think in a season like this,
mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be must-win if you hadn't squandered. Let's be quite honest. Of teams with playoff aspirations, that was the worst loss among any of the teams that are playoff aspirational. What was worse than losing to a Washington team that's in utter shambles with regard to its front office, and it has a second-year quarterback who was 7 touchdowns and 7 picks or something like that, just marginal.
Right.
And Carson Wentz comes out and records the worst QBR of all 32 quarterbacks. I think it's a horrific loss, and I think I disagree. I think it makes tomorrow a must-win game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you hate to say that there's must-win games at week 2, and you got another 14 more games left to play. I get that, but I just think for their early psyche, they got to win this game. They got to show that they can win this game because granted, you can. I think this is a good team, but you got to show it too. And you got to get players, too.
Let me interject. Isn't there a stretch coming up very soon that we'll see them play Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah, there is.
So you got to get this one.
Right.
You got to get this one.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, because Lamar Jackson is coming here.
Lamar Jackson's going to devour them if they show up like they played.
If they play like they did, Lamar Jackson will be running all over the place. And they'll be running. Although the defense was put now. Granted, I'll defend the defense in that they were put in difficult. And when you can't give, you can't give up, even if it's in short territory, on a short field. You can't give up touchdowns. Give them field goals. And they made Dwayne Haskins. Although I'm going to say this, Dwayne Haskins is going to be a good quarterback. He ain't there yet, but they made him look like he's gonna be there at some point. And who knows? We'll see. But I just think at the end of the day, that's terrible loss. Okay, so
it's terrible loss.
Terrible loss. I want to move forward a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to bring some social justice stuff in here today. Then I'm going to talk about the Sixers. The thing that bothers me about college football playing is that on some of these campuses, you have cases of COVID-19.
Right.
You have amongst the students, okay? I don't think they're testing these students on a regular basis, even though in places like the Big Ten, you got some of the best teaching hospitals and things of that nature in the country. Like, Chicago, Northwestern, and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan, Michigan State hasn't met. I mean, all these places, and yet, are the students getting it? I mean, this is almost a deplorable situation.
Yeah, well, it all trickles down from the fraudulent, quote-unquote, leadership of perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States.
Yeah.
He has continued to preach this anti-intellectualism about not wearing a mask. The other day, this imbecile was contradicting the director of the CDC. So basically you have a man who was disseminating information about drinking bleach, about ingesting bleach as a possible treatment for this virus, and he is saying that the director of the CDC misunderstood the question. So that's where America is right now. You have an idiot who has proven to be so for the last 4 years in charge. So so this stuff trickles down, and you have this sycophantic response from his cult of followers who will listen to his Pied Pipering of stupidity above the medical profession. So that's where we are.
Right.
That's where we are in America. So that's why, and at the very top of the heap is the money that football makes. These institutions at the very, very top of the heap.
I'm real sorry. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
No, I the thing is that it has set the tone for the sports world because the SEC was going to do it. The greedy money grubbing conferences were going to do it, and you think that the Pac-10 and especially the Big Ten. There is some redeeming qualities about them, but they're all football factories. Let's be honest about that. Let's be totally honest about that because they're all. Hey, look, we gotta take a break. We gotta take a break, but stay on the line with us. Because we also have a caller. Who has a question as well. So you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Hi, this is Councilmember Mark Squilla. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census to get the funding we need to recover from the challenges of COVID-19. The census brings funding to Philly for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses $21,000 in funds over the next decade. We can't let that happen. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to 2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay, Philly. Get counted now. Thank you.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
The Word Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we are back. We have a caller, Spread Love. Spread Love, how are you?
God bless, give thanks, and give God the glory. Brother Chris Murray, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there, dude. I'm just doing my thing.
Okay, well, keep on rocking. You know I enjoy your show.
Thank
God
you.
bless to your guest. I'm sorry I don't remember your name. I apologize.
That's John Mitchell.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, I remind me of John Mitchell, longtime sports writer with us.
Okay, God bless your heart. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you?
Give God the glory. As always, give thanks for our brother Jordan on the boards. Always doing an amazing job. God bless the WRD family. And, of course, God bless all the victims of everything happening right now. World over, especially all the brothers and sisters in the homeless encampments right now. May they get justice and housing. I know there's more than enough cash to house everyone, which always brings me back to my point. How come they stole us and then charge us to live on stolen land? But, you know, when that starts making sense to people how it don't make no sense, we'll be in a better position. But I called to talk about sports, if that's all right.
That's what we're here for. That's
Well,
perfect.
And also, of course, God bless everyone working to make it better.
Okay.
But listen, on the sports side, something I was just thinking about and struck me a couple years ago, when the Eagles lost their offensive coordinator, what was my man's name?
Frank Wright.
Yeah, Frank Wright, yeah.
Right on. That was after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And they ain't been able to do squat since.
Yeah.
Good point.
You have an argument for me on that one.
So, you know,
I agree.
look at the coaching. But also, not to interrupt, I'm sorry.
But also remember, and I just remember they had a running game then also.
Right.
They had 2 running backs. But go ahead.
Well, no, that makes the biggest difference because when the defense don't respect the run, you ain't getting nothing done.
Right.
And you saw that last week against the Washington football team. I said it, but
I saw that 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But listen, I was also going to say, bear in mind, you're dealing with the cardiac kids.
Yeah.
All right, across the board for Philly teams, collapse because it seems like Philadelphians are frightened of success. It's like a philosophy, frightened of failure. You know what I mean?
Are you saying that you're saying that because anybody who plays in the city of Philadelphia has such a complex that it affects the sports teams? That is interesting. That is interesting, John. I'm gonna let you jump here in a minute, but to respond to that. But is that what you're saying?
Well, I would just say that it seems like, you know, Philadelphians, we suffer from serious vanity, where we're so frightened of how we're going to appear or be accepted, and I don't know what's the word, worship, if you want to use that.
Right.
That you know, we just collapse with the fright of that not happening. Whereas I look at winners ain't worried about none of that. They go out and get the job done. But I'm going to get off the phone. I don't want to take up too much time. More love.
Thank you. That's spread love. Okay, so John, your reaction to that. Does Philadelphia, you're a native Philadelphian, does Philadelphia have that kind of complex where they just can't stand prosperity, that we're used to misery? We're used to talking about, man, all our sports teams. Is that a habit?
Well, I think, I know what he's talking about. The psyche of this town, I'll give you a real quick synopsis. The psyche of our town is we always want to be Rocky, which is why we have fighters like Bernard Hopkins and Joe Frazier, Hall of Fame fighters. And, you know, we blurt this Rocky song whenever we expect our team to rally. Yeah, and it's a good song, but the bottom line is I think you have a very smart fan base. Our fan base will sometimes lift up lunch pail white dudes, guys like Vince Papale, and say, oh, yeah, I got to have him. You know, he could be work for Johnny Doc. Well, you don't want him to work for Johnny Doc. You want him to go deep and catch touchdowns.
There you go.
On your football team, you know. And Philadelphia has a mindset like that. But right now, if you look at our sports teams, the front offices, you know, the Eagles are going to be in contract problems moving forward because they gave Carson Wentz all that money.
Right.
And their hands are kind of tied in that situation, and you still hope that he can, you know, do what they paid him to do. But the perfect example of that now is, you know, and this might be a segue to the next segment, is, you know, the 76ers. The 76ers look like they're in total fear of success. And it all permeates from the front office from what I'm seeing. You know, now they're talking about – well, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, I mean, you're right about that, but I wanted to talk about the Sixers. As you're watching Jimmy Butler just drop dimes and just score everywhere, and I know as fans, as you're watching this, I'm like, that should be us. That should be the Sixers. And I know Sixers fans got to be like, man, why couldn't we have kept this guy? Even though I think he wanted to leave. The question, and so that's the issue that I think is going on here with fans. It's just the fact that why not? Yes, you know, Jimmy Butler is a bit, you know, maybe a bit surly or a bit whatever, but you let a guy like that, you know, play. Do a thing. You ain't gotta like him. If he scores in the fourth quarter for you, you ain't gotta like him. Don't have to like him.
No, you know, but let's be kind of honest, man. You know, people have been critical of Jimmy Butler.
Uh-huh.
But the proof is now in the pudding that Jimmy Butler was not the problem.
Jimmy Butler wasn't the problem.
Jimmy Butler came here and showed traces of leadership.
Right.
Traces of leadership that were not emanating from upper management or from the coaching.
Right.
Jimmy Butler was offered max money to stay with Philadelphia. Jimmy Butler, and people need to be very attuned to this.
Right.
Jimmy Butler looked at the situation and said, you've got a 7'2" center who plays soft, who sets screens and steps out to the side and steps out to the free throw line extended, and you have a coach who can't coach his point guard who's got unique talents to shoot the ball occasionally.
Right.
Jimmy Butler said, I don't want to be a part of this doomed situation because there's no leadership.
Right.
There's no parenting. There's no guidance.
Right.
So I'm going to go to Pat Riley, and I'm going to play for Eric Spoelstra. And you know what? We're going to play rough, rugged, and raw. And now we're up 2-0 on a team that swept Philadelphia by an average of 10 points in the previous round. So, but with 2 previous rounds. So this team has failed. The team is flawed. You know, and now they're talking about bringing that Mike D'Antoni, making him the head coach over Ty Lue. Help me remember this. Wasn't Ty Lue the coach when Cleveland climbed out of that 3-1 hole to do what no other team did before?
Yeah, that was him. And so
why doesn't that brother get credit for that? Why are we not looking at him as much as we were? And why are we looking at a guy who we just saw his team in one game shoot almost 63 pointers in the game? Do you want that coach coming here and letting Joel Embiid continue to be undisciplined and do the stuff he does?
Nope. No, you don't.
That's what you'll get with Mike D'Antoni.
And let me ask you this question. So,
go ahead.
One final question to close this out, because we got to close out. Is Elton Brand the guy for the job? Some people are calling for his head.
Elton Brand's hands are tied. You know, people. I mean, you know, there's a certain beat reporter. Keith Pompey is all over this stuff. Keith Pompey is.
I'm gonna bring Keith on the show. I had him on before.
Bring Keith on here. Elton Brand's hands are tied. You know, Elton Brand. Elton Brand's hands are tied.
You say his hands are tied? Wow.
Elton Brand brought. Remember the response when Al Horford was brought here?
Right.
Everybody thought that was win-win. Al Horford just didn't forget how to play basketball when he arrived in Philadelphia. He just didn't forget that. There's no structure there.
Right.
There's no structure in the organization. He didn't just forget how to play basketball. The kid from the Clippers,
Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris didn't just forget how to play basketball in his physical prime when he arrived in Philadelphia. You know, let's be real. The problem is very apparent. There was no tenacity. There was no fire under the 76ers. Listen, it's all summed up in Embiid. Last year he cried after Toronto bounced them. So you said, okay, well, you'll come back in shape. He didn't. He didn't come back in shape. And this year, after getting swept and embarrassed, a reporter asked him a legitimate question. Is it time to do some restructuring? And he had the audacity to say that's a stupid question. No, it's not. You just got swept and lost by double digits in every game in the first round. That's a very legitimate question.
Yeah. And with that note, we've got to skedaddle for the week. Thank you very much, John. We'll talk to you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We're out of time. You're listening to the Chris Murray Report on WURD 96.1 FM 900 AM. Thank my producer, Jordan Booth, and everybody involved here at the station. And thank you to listeners for calling in. We'll see you next year. Take care.